Welcome to the documentary from the BBC World Service, where we report the world, however difficult the issue, however hard to reach. Podcasts from the BBC World Service are supported by advertising.
The majority of the people that ride my bus are homeless. They don't have anywhere to go.
You're listening to Assignment on the BBC World Service. I'm Sarah Svoboda. It's midnight in California's Silicon Valley, and the area's only 24-hour bus is in high demand.
Palo Alto Transit Center Line 22.
At a station next to an empty mall parking lot in San Jose, California, more than a dozen waiting riders form a line. Their faces obscured by the coat hoods and scarves they've bundled themselves in during these cold months.
Hold on. My name is Shannon Barnes, and I am a coach operator. I drive the Route 22.
In what's become a nightly ritual, Shannon loads passengers who carry bags and pull carts brimming with belongings.
Okay, there's nowhere for you to... What, you gonna stand up?
As people board, the rows of two hard blue seats quickly fill up from front to back. Riders settle in one, with their items piled at their feet or in the seat over.
You should have been in the front. They take up a lot of space, and people want to put their bags on the seats and lay on them. Most people don't want to ask somebody to move their stuff out the way, and they'll inconvenience themselves and possibly fall trying to get to the back of the bus.
The 22 bus runs an endless loop. During the day, it shuttles commuters. By night, it's a shelter on wheels.
Block 2255, I am running late, so I'm not going to make it downtown for that connection, but I don't think it's anybody that's getting on the train.
Before the Silicon Valley became known as the birthplace of big tech, it was a world-famous agricultural hub. In the decades since, fields have been paved over. Office parks and tract housing developments sprang from the fertile soil. Today, it's a flat, suburban patchwork surrounded by rolling foothills. The 22 bus cuts through the valley, from the area's unofficial capital, San Jose, to Palo Alto in the northwest. And while the cities around its route might not sound familiar, the companies they house are. Apple in Cupertino, Facebook in Menlo Park, and Google in Mountain View. 3 of the world's most valuable companies in a 15-mile stretch. Tech giants have pulled extreme wealth and hundreds of thousands of jobs into the area, but the suburban neighborhoods from which they were built haven't kept up with this growth. Since 2010, there have been 6 times as many jobs as housing units created in the Silicon Valley. It's become a microcosm of the housing and homelessness crisis crippling the state of California.
There's about 20 people, approximately 20 people, that are asleep on my bus at the end of the line.
My name's Antoine Barnes.
My name's Brian Guidry.
My name's Tony Leon.
My name's Nancy.
I ride the 22.
I ride the 22.
I ride the Motel 22.
It's home to a lot of people, the 22, because, they're everywhere and nowhere is your home. The 22 is their home.
Motel 22. That's what we call it, Motel 22. It's just an option to stay warm, stay dry. You have a bumping experience. Depends on how fast you can fall asleep, where you're sitting, you might be able to get segments of just normalcy during the time.
Someplace to
stay, someplace to be, to have a roof over one's head, then you're safe.
And if you weren't here tonight, where would you be?
Oh, I would hate to think. I guess walking the streets. No, I know I would be walking the streets.
Streets in San Jose on which homelessness has spiked by over 40% in 2 years. Job loss is cited as the primary event that leads to homelessness in this region.
You don't know where you're going to be at 5 in the morning.
Brian is 35 years old. He looks entirely Californian with a skateboard in hand. He's tall with sandy blonde hair, a short beard, and freckles. His eyes, though, are heavy. He's been spending his nights on the 22 bus for 5 weeks.
I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but yeah, I haven't really slept in the past 3 days. And it's not because of anything else, but other than trying to survive all these bumps, the rattles, the noise, the bickering, the last call or last stop. And by the time you actually fall asleep, you get a nice, solid 5 to 10 minutes of deep sleep, and next thing you know, you're just awoken like that. What actual effectiveness do I have, honestly, as someone that wants to work at a job where I maybe have gotten, I don't know, 2 hours of sleep out of a 5-7 hour period?
Between jobs and battling depression, Brian has been unable to secure a bed at one of the local shelters. There's roughly 1 bed for every 4 homeless people here.
I went from basic job to, bartending to working at my first tech company, Barracuda Networks, then Siemens, and then, things just slowly started getting worse and worse, especially during the recession, where even though I had professional experience in my life and was making good money, now going against people with their doctorates and masters out here for just simple receptionist jobs.
But even the simplest of positions wouldn't be enough to pay the bills. Average rent in the area is roughly $3,000 a month. It's impossible to be self-sufficient in the Silicon Valley at the current statewide minimum wage of $13 an hour.
How does it feel to be caught up in this? Not good. Not good as a person. Some people you talk to, interact with, accept it. Some people just really are in a bad spot, in the wrong area, and there's not much to actually help them get out.
And it's not only passengers in the back, like Brian, who are struggling. A family of 4 in this region that earns $100,000 a year is considered to be low income, and it would take a paycheck of over $225,000 a year just to afford a median-priced home.
I feel a little defeated. I'm working my tail off out here, and I can't live out here.
Shannon, the driver, is a single mother of 2. She was born and raised here, but has since been priced out.
We can't get good housing out here, and I say defeated too because we don't make enough money to live out here, but we make too much money to get some type of assistance. So we like right in the middle of things, and it's hard to deal, to live.
It's a situation made more difficult by nightly challenges on the job.
You got pants on? Let me see. No, that's not a skirt. You have to have pants on to ride the bus. You have to. No. Okay. Block 2255. I have a passenger that's gotten on that doesn't have pants on, and she got on the bus and refuses to get off.
Shannon calls the authorities after a woman attempts to ride wearing just a blanket.
It's a female. She's about 55. She's 5'2", and heavy set.
As the bus sits, more riders board and fill the cabins to capacity.
I am still at Palo Alto Transit Center trying to load these people on. The sheriff's gonna get you off. Are you
Good.
Okay. Well, I don't know what else to do.
20 minutes later, law enforcement arrives.
You mind just stepping off? Talk to me real quick.
No, I explained it to you. It's a wraparound skirt. It's a wraparound wool skirt. It's a wraparound, though. Is that okay?
Am I raising my voice? I'm not at all, right? Okay, so just hang tight 1 second.
I'm going to get off the bus because
You are?
you're really evil, and I'm going to put this once and for all. No, you're a really evil guy, and I'm telling you right now. You're no good. You're no good, and I've lost this again, and I'm not going to. I will take my life soon, because you're evil, and he's evil, and I will not take this anymore.
I never have to deal with that all the time, but I've dealt with her many times, but I never had this problem with her to where she didn't listen to what I said. I feel like a social worker, I feel like a babysitter, a mediator. I have a lot of titles when it comes to driving a 22.
The 22 bus was an experience. I used to drive the all-night 22 from 6 o'clock at night until 5 in the morning. And I had every homeless person on my bus. I knew them by name. I was nice to them because I knew I'm always one paycheck away from being homeless myself. My name is Mark Neville. I'm a fare inspector for Valley Transportation Authority in San Jose, California.
Mark now is homeless. I meet him in a car park off a major road in San Jose. It's a wide open space surrounded by corporate lots, not far from the light rail where he now works.
This is my $2,000 home. So for less than a month's rent, I got a permanent place to live right in my truck.
Like Shannon, Mark is employed by the local transportation agency, the VTA. He works full-time, earning $35 an hour. Still, it's not enough for a comfortable life.
It feels like I don't deserve a place to live just because I'm a public servant. It doesn't seem right to me. It's because I'm not a computer engineer, so I don't deserve a place to live.
Did you ever think that this would be the place you would call home?
No, I didn't. Never thought that I was going to be living in a car. When I first got hired at VTA, I thought I made it. I finally got a real job, and I'd be set for life. And I was going to have a nice 3-bedroom, 2-car garage somewhere with the family. I don't have a family. My wife left me and just couldn't afford a home.
Mark shows me around his dusty white Chevrolet Suburban. It has a metallic reflector wedged in the windshield and dark tinted windows in the back. What sort of belongings do you have in here?
The back door, got a bed, twin-size mattress, an old VCR sleeping bag, and pillows. It's hard to sleep in a car, especially in the heat and during the summer, and my ice gets covered. My car gets covered in ice in the wintertime, so my sleep is on and off all night. So it's hard to focus at work. And I got my suitcases in my car in the trunk. Then other than that, I got jumper cables because my battery's dead. The truck's been sitting here about 3 months without moving. And a few tools in case I need to make some quick fixes. And a spare tire. That's all I got in my truck.
His is one of the more unsuspecting vehicles in the lot, which also hosts a row of boxy trailers and RV campers. There's a steady hum of their generators constantly working.
We got families living in these RVs, some of these RVs. And they've been doing it longer than I have. It's because it's so expensive out here. I've seen people living out here for the last 20 years. And it's getting worse. There's more and more. We're running out of parking spots.
Camper trailers can be seen all over the Silicon Valley, grouped in lots and forming long chains along major roadways. They're the latest trend in makeshift homes.
I used to be in the minority living in my car, but now it's very common. I'm one of the hundreds, maybe thousands, doing that here in this county. I remember when this Silicon Valley was all orchards. Everybody were farmers. And one person can work 40 hours a week and provide for a family of 7. And now we got 2 people working a job and they can barely afford a studio apartment. It's very frustrating. Sometimes I get so mad that I'm glad I'm not paying rent because I'm saving my money to buy a dream house out of state. But the last few weeks, I've just been so frustrated, I just want to quit and leave. But if I quit, then I lose my pension. So I'm here for 6 more years waiting on a pension. That's it. I feel betrayed because I was born and raised here. Now I'm 50 years old, getting ready to retire, and I feel betrayed. Why can't I retire in the state that I grew up in?
California has by far the most unsheltered homeless residents than anywhere else in the United States, over 108,000 people. It's a stark contrast to the state's enormous wealth and booming economy, which is the 5th largest in the world. It's an issue that's become increasingly political and something President Donald Trump has criticized repeatedly.
President Trump out in California today, fixated on the problem of homelessness in the state's major cities and promising to do something about it.
Trump delivers a warning to California's leaders about their growing homeless crisis.
President Trump took aim squarely at California's governor by tweeting the governor has, quote, done a really bad job on taking care of the homeless population in California.
Nearly half of all the homeless people living in the streets in America happen to live in the state of California. What they are doing to our beautiful California is a disgrace to our country. It's a shame. The world is looking at it.
The Trump administration has used this as a rallying cry against the state's Democratic leadership, who he says is failing to properly address the problem.
I'm not going to take the bait for a partisan fight over homelessness because homelessness isn't a partisan issue, and I don't think we should make it one.
Sam Liccardo is the mayor of San Jose and a Democrat.
We do need a serious commitment. We need real funding. This problem isn't going to go away with a tweet. It's going to go away with concerted action, with resources, and with collaboration. And that's what we need right now from Washington, D.C.
Californians do agree that something on a greater scale must be done. For the first time in 20 years of polling, California voters ranked homelessness as their top concern.
It's terrible because there's nowhere to go.
Vera lives in a tent. It's located in a park along the 22 bus route in downtown San Jose. Clusters of tents are a common sight along the sandy slopes of the area's creek beds.
My tent's like a 6-man tent. It's just a dome, and inside it I usually have a camping stove, lots of little lights so I can have light at night. I get to see the weather and watch news because I have a cell phone. I have a couple of shelves which I store my canned foods on, and then some plastic drawers for my clothes. That's it. That's all you can have in there.
A few hundred feet away up a grassy hill is a playground, but at first glance, this park looks like a campground.
We all understand we shouldn't be out here in a park. This is a park for kids. We're all aware of that. We don't agree that being out here is the right place to be, but we need to be somewhere.
And you have no family that you can stay with?
I do. I have a sister that when I recently got out of the hospital, I was staying with my sister right after. She as well gets housing. She can't have anybody live with her, and that's just the housing rule. So, and I'm not going to jeopardize her housing.
How do you think your sister feels knowing that you're going through this?
Very, very sad. It breaks her heart. I just can't give up. I won't.
This is the greatest source of moral shame for our community, and it is ultimately the challenge of our generation.
San Jose's Mayor Liccardo again.
There's good news and bad news in this crisis. The good news is we're starting to see much of what we've been doing work. To the extent that we can say since 2015 we've housed 7,982 homeless individuals, and 92% of them are staying housed, and that's great. The bad news is since that time we've actually seen the homelessness count increase, and people are getting pushed out into the street because of the high cost of living here, the high rents. We saw rents increase substantially when the Apple headquarters got built in Cupertino, but over the 5 years it took to build that Apple spaceship campus of 3 million square feet, Cupertino did not add a single unit of housing. We all embrace the jobs that tech provides. The question is, are we going to embrace the people that come with those jobs? And if we're not willing to build the housing, then we should shut down. But I don't think that's a recipe for success for any city or any community. Now, there's no question that tech can do more, and we're asking them to do more every single day.
Apple, Google, and Facebook have pledged a combined $4.5 billion to help address California's housing crisis, but Mayor Liccardo says it will take much more to resolve the issue.
What we really need is an entire community to step up, for folks to be able to say, yes, in my backyard, for local leaders to say, we are willing to house the homeless who are here in our community, and we need, obviously, state and federal leadership willing to work with us.
One of the ways in which San Jose and other cities is working to get people off the streets is through permanent supportive housing. It's a model that combines both affordable housing and on-site services.
Hello. Welcome to my apartment. Oh, that feels so funny to be able to say that. I love it. Come around. Let me show you around.
Dory welcomes me into her brand new apartment. It's a tidy single-room space with a wall of large windows and a corner filled with potted plants.
Look at all these windows. Isn't that wonderful? I'm so tall right now because I'm on the top floor. It's great.
Dory is not quite 5 feet tall, but her personality fills the entire space.
Look at the peepholes. The peepholes, there's one big tall one I cannot see out of. And then they put another one down at the bottom and I can see that one. It's so cool.
She was homeless on the streets of San Jose for 8 years in 1 week after losing the house she lived in for nearly 3 decades.
I had a reverse mortgage that I didn't even know anything about. They didn't tell me. It was like a predatory broker. And they got my house, they got all my money, and that put me on the street. I mean, I didn't even believe it until the marshals came and walked me down my sidewalk. And then I stood there and went, oh, my God, now what? And I'm a 60-year-old woman that's had a home all her life, you know? And it's so crazy, it's hard to describe. It was awful. I mean, 24 hours seemed like 2 days, 3 days. It was terrible. I've never been so scared in my life.
Even she at times sought the overnight 22 bus.
It was so nice getting on that bus. It was safe and it was warm and it was scary as heck too. But I mean, if you weigh the two together, no comparison.
She now lives at a building called 2nd Street Studios in San Jose.
Over here, this is my homelessness, I guess. Look at what I did back here. It's all the storage so you don't have to see it. My apartment is very uncluttered.
All the residents here were once classified as chronically homeless and admitted from a wait list compiled by the county's Office of Supportive Housing. Those with the most urgent needs based on age, disability, and history of illness were prioritized.
I'm so grateful. I am so grateful.
Residents here do pay rent, 30% of their verified income, or a minimum of $50 a month.
What are those pictures of? Those are the only pictures that I have left. Oh, it's going to choke me up. Those are all my children, my grandchildren.
What happened to the other photos?
They got stolen. And who wants my photos? That's the way it is out there, you know? But at least I have at least one picture of each, so that's enough. That's enough. Now I have this door, and it has a deadbolt lock on it, and I wear a ring around my neck with the key, so when I go out, I won't lock myself out, and I get to turn and it makes all kinds of noise every time, and the thrill I get just hearing it, click, click, and I am safe. You hear that? We need to have about another 100 of these buildings just like this, and that way people like me can have a choice to get their life together. I mean, this place is wonderful. It gives you every opportunity to turn it around. Every single medical and mental and food. And I mean, it's great. I feel like I won the lottery. Well, I did, I guess. It's a new life. It's a new life.
But a new life isn't easy to come by.
Ma'am, it's time to get off. The end of the line.
For every person that leaves homelessness here, another 3 will enter.
It's a sad situation. Ma'am, it's time to get off. End of the line.
Back on the bus, Shannon wakes up the remaining passengers.
Come on, it's time to get off. It's not going to be enough for us to let them just ride the bus.
The last of the riders to leave is a small woman in her 70s with a shock of silver hair. She walks off into the dark, early hours of the morning, dragging a small black suitcase behind her. In just a matter of hours, this woman, like so many others, will be back at this very station for another night on the Motel 22.
I hope things could get better, but what can actually be done?
That's all from this edition of Assignment. I'm Sarah Svoboda. To hear more from the series, go to bbcworldservice.com/assignment.